Hi, this video is going to discuss the price elasticity of supply. First, what is it? The price elasticity of supply measures how quantity supply responds to price changes. Or more informally, the price elasticity of supply captures how sellers respond to price changes. So, the formula for the price elasticity of supply is this ratio of percent changes. It's the percent change in quantity supplied divided by the percent change in price. So, this elasticity of supply will tell us how sensitive sellers are to price changes. If price goes up, for example, how do most sellers respond? Do they increase their output, reduce output, or keep output unchanged? Yes, you're right. For most of the time, if prices rise, sellers will respond by supplying more of the item. So there is this law of supply, which says that prices and quantity supplied move in the same direction. So if both these quantity supplies increasing when price increases, the number for elasticity supply will be positive for most goods. Now there are a few exceptions to this rule, where quantity supply doesn't change after price goes up. This would be an example of a perfectly inelastic supply. And examples of this would include artists who have passed away, even though their prices have gone up for their artwork, they can't supply you with any more of their artwork. So examples here would be Mona Lisas. There's of course only one of these Mona Lisa paintings, and the price goes up, we can't get any more supply of that item. So this would be an example of a price elasticity of supply which is zero. However, that's the exception. Most of the time, the price elasticity of supply will be positive. As prices go up, the quantity supplied will also go up. Let's go to a graph. So, if we have initial price P1 and quantity Q1, and let's suppose price has risen by 8%. There are two broad categories here of price elasticity of supply. There's elastic or responsive suppliers, and there's inelastic or not responsive suppliers. So what will we need in an example where price rises by 8% for there to be considered to be an elastic supply? What we would need would be for the quantity supply to increase by an amount larger than the price increase, or in this case, a quantity supply increase that's bigger than 8%. What we need for an inelastic supply? A quantity supply increase that's smaller than 8%. And in this example, what do we have? We have quantity supply rising by 16%, clearly larger than the 8% price increase. So this is an example of an elastic supplier, a supplier whose quantity rises by more than the price change. And what would the elasticity number be for the price elasticity of supply? Well, take your 2% changes, 16% for the quantity supplied, 8% for the price increase, and divide them. You get a positive 2.0. Any price elasticity of supply number larger than 1 is said to be elastic. Any supply elasticity smaller than 1 is said to be inelastic. Clearly, again, in the elastic region. And finally, how would we interpret this positive 2.0 for price elasticity of supply? You'd interpret as follows. Let your price change be 1%. Then your quantity supply change needs to be a 2% increase. So if price changes by 1%, increases by 1%, quantity supplied will increase by 2%. If price falls by 1%, quantity supplied will fall by 2%. In a similar fashion, if price goes up by 2%, quantity supplied will go up by 4%. If price goes down 2%, quantity supplied will go down by 4%.